So hi everyone, my name is Khadija El Karfi. I'm originally from Morocco and I lived there my entire life. I moved to the US for college about now 6 years ago. I went to Mount College, which is a women's college. And I did my undergrad, my bachelor's in French studies and also international relations. And then after I finished that, I'm currently doing my PhD in French studies and Francophone studies. So I'm focusing on North African literature, specifically literature from Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. And I'm working on questions of identity and gender. And I currently live in Boston. So I grew up in Rabat, Morocco, which is the capital. And I lived there until the age of 18. And I would say that it was pretty sweet to look at the video and it reminded me a lot of when I lived in Morocco and how life was there. Especially when I would go to the Medina, which is like the old city with my mom, and we would just walk around the stores, and you would see all these like traditional carpets or like traditional Moroccan jewelry and objects and all of that. So in that way it was pretty accurate. And specifically in a lot of cities in Morocco, the big touristic cities like Rabat, Marrakesh, Tangier, they focus a lot on tourism. So in a lot of, when you go to those old cities, you definitely see a lot of kids that are, working at their parents' stores. And so that really kind of resonated with my experience when I lived in Morocco. But the other thing that resonated with me a lot in that video is, the emphasis on speaking multiple languages. The great thing about Morocco is that we do speak a lot of languages. A lot of people speak more than one language, and we speak mostly Arabic, French, and Spanish. And also you have a lot of different, other languages that are spoken. And it was interesting to see that, in the story, the dad was really trying to get his kid, Mustafa, I believe, to learn new words. And so, I think that is something that is real. That is something that, is representative of Morocco. But I would want to say that not all kids work at their parents' stores. It depends on your social class. It depends on whether you go to school or not. So it depends on where you're from and whether what your family's focus is. For instance, my parents don't have a store, so I never worked at a store. But if they did, I probably would go and hang out. And the other thing that that I could relate to was the emphasis on, Moroccan tea, mint tea. That's like such a big Moroccan, tradition, or Moroccan food. And we usually have it all the time with like all meals, and specifically when you have like friends or guests over, like that's the first thing that you give them is mint tea. And it's like trying to like tell people that they're welcome, and trying to welcome them into the culture and into your home. I would say it was a really I loved living in Morocco. I thought it was a great experience, and it really made me who I am today. As I told you, like I'm currently pursuing my PhD in French and Francophone studies. And I probably wouldn't have done that if I didn't live in Morocco, because I wouldn't have been speaking French. I wouldn't have, been interested in languages. And because of Morocco's history, languages are such a big part. So I would say it was a great experience. It was really fun, but I definitely wouldn't say that I had the same experience as Mustafa, in a way that my childhood was more focused on going to school and then coming back and just doing homework and hanging out with family and friends. So there was not really that aspect where I had to work. So I would say my favorite memories, growing up in Morocco was definitely spending time with my mom and going around the city and the old Medina and just, getting ice cream or getting like some like, fresh orange juice and watching all these beautiful Moroccan tapestry carpets, little like what do you call it? Artisanal? I don't know what the English word for that is. But I would say my other favorite part was family gatherings. In Morocco, there's like a big emphasis on, family and being around your close, family members. And I remember my favorite part was always going to my grandparents' house and having couscous. Couscous is like the traditional a traditional food, and we usually have it on Fridays. So every Friday I would go with my mom, my sister, my dad, and we would go to my granddad, and then we'll have all the cousins, all the family members, and we'll gather around this like, really delicious meal, and everyone would be eating and like talking, and it was just a great time. I really miss that. I think that's probably the one thing that I miss the most, being here in the US and being far away from my family, is like those special moments where you're around, people that you love and sharing a meal and, sharing stories and just having a good time and laughing. I would say my other favorite thing about Morocco, and maybe this is a little bit cliche, but I loved going to Moroccan weddings. Moroccan weddings would start super late. They would start like 8, 9 p.m. and then they would continue until like 2 a.m., 4 a.m., sometimes 6 a.m. And as a child, it was just like so much fun going around and having all these meals, because at Moroccan weddings, you have like 10 different meals, and then the bride is like wearing 10 different dresses, and you just have a lot of people dancing and the music, and you usually, like in the weddings, it's like usually they're so big, so like 10 people out of like 100 or 200, and it's just like it was like so much fun going to weddings as a little kid, and then maybe falling asleep on a couch and then having your parents carry you or like wake you up. I think that was a fun time.